Welcome to Business Authority Radio, bringing you insights from today's thought leaders, professionals, and influencers. With your hosts, Neil Howe and Craig Williams.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today's guest is Cindy Moore. She is the co-founder of Senioridy.com, and she helps seniors and their families find affordable senior living options quickly through the use of an advanced online senior community search engine and listing directory. Cindy's 10 plus years of experience as a lead web developer and solution architect and director of technology for Moore Tech Solutions. She and her husband also helped to craft a web-based solution to fulfill an unmet need to locate senior communities based on specific search criteria such as location, amenities, or services. So welcome to the show, Cindy.
Thank you, Neil, for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and why was it that you decided to start Senioridy?
Sure. So my husband and I created Moore Tech Solutions, which is a web development company, more than 10 years ago. We've done over 350 websites, and primarily my function in the company is to listen to people's problems and find a way to make technology solve them. And so that's what I've been doing for about a decade, and we've been able to craft some pretty interesting custom solutions. And so, and I'll tell you, Senioridy.com is sort of one of those meldings where your professional experience and your personal experiences come together. And so a few years ago, my mother-in-law, who was 92 at the time, living at home alone, just doing a fabulous job of maintaining her independence, still driving, still visiting friends, and still cooking for the church. Got up one night to run to the ladies' room and slipped on her tiles and hit her head. And life for us changed at that point. We went from somebody that was very independent to somebody that was really in need of daily care because she had a subsequent stroke after she'd hit her head and could no longer live alone. She was admitted to the hospital, and this is a common theme. I talk to a lot of people, and this is a very common occurrence. And so she was ready to leave the hospital, and they handed us a paper list. And they said, here's your list of about 30 facilities. It was literally a black and white sheet of paper with just names on it. And they said, here are the providers we prefer. Choose one of these, and then let us know. You have 2 days to select. Knowing that she was going to be at this facility for at least a month, probably 2, and may end up being there for a much, much longer period of time, just not knowing how well she was going to or how much she was going to recover, that selection process was an important one. It couldn't just be any place, anywhere. One of the things that we really had to work through is that there are other siblings who are also in that decision-making arena with you. And so one of the things that really helps a senior to recover is having family around, having the extra care, because skilled nursing facilities, they're a facility, and somebody is not going to sit in that senior's room every single day and hold their hands. But really, that type of one-on-one care helps them. It helps them to recover more quickly, more fully. And the faster somebody recovers when they've had a stroke will tell you how much they're going to actually, what capabilities they're going to be left with. So it's very important. So logistics was a very important thing. And so with this list, we could not tell where any of these facilities were at. And I asked the discharge case manager, well, where are these facilities? Where's this one or that one? And she said, I don't know. I don't know anything about them. We just have to give you this list. And so I am one of those people that is going to do research. If I have to find a place at the beach, I'll spend a week researching every single place. If I have to go to California, I will search every single place. So I'm a researcher anyway. So the first thing I did is I went home and I thought, well, how hard can this be? I'm just going to look these places up online. Well, you had to go to 30 different websites for the ones that even have websites. There was at least half of them that did not. And so I really couldn't even tell where they were. And so I told my partner and my husband, you know what, we're going to create a map and we're going to put markers on the map. And anything that doesn't logistically make sense, we're going to remove from the list. And we're going to filter the list down until we get it to 12 places. And then we're going to filter that down to get down to 6. And then we're going to filter that down to our top 3. And then we're going to tour those top 3 places because we didn't have the time to tour 30 different places, especially if they were 100 miles away. And some of them were. So we put this list on a map, and I was just amazed. I was amazed that technology did not exist. And I said, why is it that you can't just look for a senior community like you'd look for a home? Like any of the 24 real estate sites that we've built that have the big map search, why can't you? I mean, if you think about it, a community for senior living, when that senior or that senior's family is looking for an apartment or a skilled nursing facility, they are looking for their next home. So that search is going to be exactly the same. And so I just decided that is something that really needed to be done and that we could do. And we had it within our capabilities to do it. So I took everything I knew about building websites and every piece of technology that I could throw at the problem, and we used that to build the Senioridy website.
So why wasn't there anything like that built before? Just nobody got around to it, or it hadn't been posed as a problem before?
I think because of the way that, and it's funny, as you get going along, you start to find out where the money lies. And where the money lies usually pushes what solutions are available. Right now, where the money lies is in the referral business. So the model right now, the successful model right now, is for a facility to pay somebody for a referral. And so there are referral companies out there that really their agents are not unlike real estate agents. And what they do is they pay the agent a referral fee if somebody gets placed there. Now, these referral fees can be huge. In a skilled living facility, some of them are going to charge somewhere around $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for a month for that resident. They're going to pay the agent 80% of that for the first month So they're going to get anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 for a skilled nursing facility placement referral. And so it's this works so well that this is how people are getting trained. They're getting trained to pick up the phone, and which is appealing. Pick up the phone and make your problem somebody else's problem. Pick up the phone and let this person help you because this person understands the senior market and you don't. And I will say that there is a lot to learn very quickly when you have, and you're probably going to learn this yourself as you start to deal with your father and your other family members as they age. There's so many distinctive differences between one level and the next level that if you're not really just seeped in it, you're going to have to pull on your learning cap and really do some quick learning. And so it is easier. I will admit, it is easier just to pick up the phone and say, hey, my father needs a place. But keep in mind, when you do that, you have to give up some very personal private information. You're going to be, which in today's world, it's funny that market works so well because people are so opposed to giving up their private information. And so you're going to be asked for your medical information and your financial information, what your insurance looks like, what the physical capabilities are, all your information about the potential resident. And really, I think one of the biggest parts of the problem is that these nursing and assisted living and memory care and independent living places, they're not inexpensive. And so the agents that will place are going to first find out if you have the money, and then they're going to help you. So they want to know what your budget is. If your budget falls below a certain criteria, they really can't help you. And they'll let you know that. I'm sorry, I don't think that we can help you, because they're only going to place you in one of the places they have an agreement with. And that's not to say there are places out there that are less expensive, but generally speaking, the less expensive places aren't going to pay those referral fees because they can't afford it. They need to have that money, every part of it. And so, it kind of leads to the problem. If you think about it, if a facility is paying $5,000 for every placement fee for every single person, and they have a high turnover rate because of the nature of the industry, they're paying a lot of money for that resident, an awful lot of money. So I think the reason that a site like this doesn't exist is because right now people aren't in the habit of doing the research themselves. And the reason they're not in the habit is because nothing has been available for them to do that. It's really such, without seniority.com, it really can be a nightmare to get out there and do research on each individual facility, because you really have to know the names of the facilities to find them. Now, I will say this: if you go online, you can pull up a facility information, and sometimes that facility information will be available on a company that is a referral company. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they have an agreement with that facility. So if you call them and you ask them about a specific facility, sometimes they're not going to give you information about that facility. They're going to take your information and send it to the facilities they have a relationship with, and you'll never find out about the facility that you were inquiring about in the first place.
Well, that definitely is a problem. Now, if somebody goes to Google right now and they're looking for these places that might show up on the map and they call the number, are they actually getting that place, or are they getting somebody else that's taking all their information?
If they use the seniority.com website and they call a facility or a community or an apartment, whomever, a provider, they are calling them directly with whatever number they have listed on the site. It calls them directly. If they email, it emails them directly. Really, we don't have agreements with anybody. So we don't even prefer that they call us. Now, if somebody has to have something fast and they just don't want to use the search filters on the site, then, and only then, if they call and ask us, like, I got a phone call last night, hey, I'm in a hurry, I've got to make a move right away, please call me back. In a situation like that, what we will do is we'll take their information and we'll try to put them in contact with somebody that can help them quickly. But the goal of the website is to empower each person to be able to make an informed decision so that they can select a facility that meets their needs the best.
Now, how big is this problem? Because I live in Atlanta, or just on the outskirts, and it seems like every new construction that is going up is some kind of assisted living memory care facility. Are these places packed out? I know the baby boomers have been retiring at a rate of 10,000 a day for over a decade now, and they're needing these kind of places. Are there just not enough beds and rooms?
There is a limit, and each state is different. I live in Alabama, and the state has a limit on the number of skilled nursing facility beds that they will allow. And so it's a fixed number. So what they're trying to do to get around that is they're building assisted living facilities and memory care facilities to be able to absorb some of that overflow. But also, as you said, we've got the baby boomers, and we really have quite a large group of people that are quickly aging and are going to need care. The industry is going through a little bit of a change because baby boomers are sort of a unique group. These are, people say these are the hippies, but they're really a new age senior. They stay a little more engaged. They have higher expectations, and they're looking for those amenities and those features. And I think that if you just think about what kind of facility comes to mind when you think nursing home, it's probably not where you want to live right now. But that's starting to change. The way that the communities, and they're trying to use the vernacular that makes it sound more like it's a living engagement, if you will, that people can move into a community that's socially connected, that is engaging, and that feels more like home. So I think that the reason that you're seeing so much of this is twofold, because the tastes are really getting more demanding, and because the population for that age group is growing right now. So one of the things that they have to take into consideration, though, to be honest, is how saturated a market gets, because occupancy, particularly for independent living, can be a major issue. Typically, skilled nursing facilities are going to get their residents referred into them as the hospital has needs. So it's a constant flow. It's a constant feed from the hospital into the skilled nursing facility, almost more than the demand can be met, particularly if you're thinking about the fact that there's a limit to the number of skilled nursing beds that are allowed in this state. So when you have an independent living facility or independent living community or senior apartments, there's so many names for the same things. But if you have a community that has senior apartments, they don't have that. And so they have to get out there and engage in the community themselves. So there's competition in that space, in that business space. And when you start to see a whole lot of construction, it's actually, I've been doing some analytical research on the construction rate across the U.S. On facilities at different levels. And some of these independent living communities and some of these assisted living communities are getting saturated in some markets like Atlanta and some areas in Florida and some areas in Texas. And as they do that, we may see the pricing structures change just a little bit, which I'm hoping that is the case. Because what happens when you don't have that competition, when you don't see the market start to get saturated a little bit with these communities, is that you have a community that has a waiting list and absolutely no good reason to bring their pricing down. It's going to set their pricing up. Now, if you add on top of that the layer of referral fees, I mean, at the end of the day, who do you think pays for those referral fees? We do. Whoever the residents do, they have to pay those referral fees because that company's there to make money.
So with the high prices on the assisted living in some areas, there's obviously a fair percentage of the population that isn't going to be able to afford that. What kind of options do they have, and how does Senioridy help them discover that?
Right. So that's the question there. When you make that call and they say, "I'm sorry, we can't help you," that doesn't take away the need, does it? So,
Mm-mm.
yeah. So there are more than 7 million seniors living in poverty. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of seniors that can't go and knock on the door of some of these facilities and walk through. But there is a program it's a fabulous program called the HUD Section 202 Affordable Senior Living Program. And the nice thing about this program is that it is open to the low income and the very low income. So those that have the greatest need have that need met. So the Section 202 itself is run under Section 8. And I will tell you that if you say Section 8, people want to run in the other directions. They go, "Oh no, we're talking about projects for seniors," and that's really not a very good description, because some of these facilities are every bit as good as these assisted living communities that are conventional pay. And so they have the barbershops and the beauty salons on site, and the libraries and the game rooms, and they have social activities daily. They have transportation worked out. But I tell you what they do on top of that a lot of the other assisted independent living communities don't do, is they have a service coordinator on each property. Almost all of these Section 202 properties will have a service coordinator that lives on the property. Now, service coordinators, they do more than just greet you when you walk in through the front door. Service coordinators help to coordinate your daily living activities. So if they see a need, if you need help with getting food, getting meals delivered, you need help with your housekeeping, if you need help with transportation, if you need help talking to the VA to get your benefits, that service coordinator is going to help to coordinate all of that. If you need help talking to somebody about your medications, they're going to help you to coordinate with that. So if you think about, a family structure, you're in a low income family structure, everybody's working from can to can't. It's really hard when you're, 40, 50, 60, and you've got an aging parent that needs daily a little more help, and it's all you can do to do the things in your life that you need to do. And then on top of that, try to manage your adult senior parent's life. Having that service coordinator there is like having an extra hand. It's like having an extra caregiver there that you can call and say, "Would you go, I can't get mom on the phone. Would you go up there and raise mom and see if she's, why she's not picking up her phone? Or would you check on her?" Or you can call up and say, "Look, mom has a medical appointment across town. Can you help her to coordinate that transportation?" And they're there for you to do that. You don't have to take that time off of work. You can, get in your car and drive out there and drive them and go through all of that when you can pick up the phone and get help. So the Section 202 properties are a fabulous gem, but they're not very well known. It's funny when I talk to people about these low income affordable senior living apartments and communities, most people haven't heard of them. There's not really a good search engine for them. And it's funny because although we don't really try to place anybody, so we don't really, prefer, if you will, that people call us. We want them to call those facilities or those communities directly. But we still get calls every day. When we get those calls, I'd say 85% of them are low income. And they've reached out to somebody that has told them, "I'm sorry, I can't help you. Your income just isn't there." And they don't have the resources that they need. If they go to senioridy.com, the resources are there for them now.
So, Cindy, what kind of misinformation or misunderstanding is there about the assisted living and the skilled living facilities? What do people think when they're first starting to try and get education? What are their views about what they're going to find?
Well, I think the misinformation that lays out there the most is the lack of information. There are plenty of places you can go online to find information here and there, but when you first start out, that it's like learning a new language, and it's like putting out a fire all at the same time. And so you have a lot that you have to learn very quickly. One of the things that's difficult to understand is the distinctive differences between the different care levels. The difference between, and maybe you yourself, Neil, you may not be aware of, if I asked you, well, what care level is your father going to need right now? You may say, I have no idea. I think he wants to be independent. But there's different criteria that they're going to ask you. When you go and you speak to a community or a facility, they're going to ask you certain things. How mobile they are. Can they get themselves to a dining room every day? Can they eat a normal diet, or do they have to have their food blended because they're on a soft mechanical diet? Do they have swallowing issues? Things like that. Knowing those types of things will help you to know where you're going to need to look. So a lot of times, and I'll tell you an exciting thing that we're rolling out here at Senioridy, and I'm so glad you asked that question, is we are in the process of building a comprehensive calculator that is based off of the selections that you make. Things like, are you mobile? Can you swallow? Are you on a special diet? Can you speak? Things like that. There's just different things that, based on the questions that you answer, we're going to display the choices that you've got. What level of care would best suit your needs? So that right now is the biggest gap. There's this gap in understanding where the need lies for yourself when you start going down that road. And there is really, one of the things we ran into when my husband's mother had her stroke is she could no longer swallow. That's you think. I remember my grandfather losing his ability to move anything on the left-hand side of his body. And I thought, that's awful. I mean, couldn't imagine not using anything on the left hand of your body. And that is terrible. But if you think about the life changes of not being able to swallow, they come with some pretty big life changes. You have to have a feeding tube. You're tethered to something all the time. You have to have special treatments done so that you don't get sick every single day. But on top of that, you have to find a care level that can take you. And for a lot of people, that care level is skilled nursing. You may be able and to do everything else perfectly, but if you can't swallow, the only level that can really handle that level of care is skilled nursing, and which is a nursing home. If you've got somebody that's mentally sharp, that is not the direction they want to go. So some of the things that you learn as you go along is that you can combine care. In-home options, in-home living options, in-home care options don't only work for in the home, but they also work if you have an assisted living facility. So a lot of times if you combine care, like for example, we had a good situation where she had already chosen the independent living facility that she wanted to go to. It was a nice community that was in her neighborhood and close to her home, and her friends could get to her still. And that was important to her. And she had friends in the community already. When we placed her there, she was able to move in with her feeding tube, and then we hired an in-home care nursing company to send in nursing help to work with her a couple hours every day to help her do those things like get her fed, change her food out, clean her tubing, and all of that. And then also to unhook her so she could get around a little bit. She could hide where the tube went in, and she could get out and amongst the community for a little bit and then come back and then hook back in. And so she wasn't isolated in a bed in a skilled nursing facility.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many problems, and each individual case is different, dealing with different things. So it is extremely important to know just what the right option is for you and for your family, and ultimately what is available for you in your area. Now, Cindy, there's so much to talk about here, but we're about out of time. If there's one thing that you would like to mention before we go that we haven't talked about yet, what might that be?
I would say to plan ahead as early as you can. Skilled nursing facilities and many of these other facilities, these other communities, they have waiting lists many times. And not only that, you have to know what your budget is going to be. A decade, 5 years, 3 years before, as soon as you can, start to go out and visit these communities, become familiar with them, and set a budget for yourself and know what your options are going to leave you with financially, and start to get on those lists. If you know that, and do some planning, do some financial planning. If it looks like the money is going to run out because people are living longer, make sure that you're already getting in with HUD and make sure you can do what you can to apply for these things as quickly as possible. So when the need arises, you will be ready for it.
Mm. And for those people that are listening to this, or have a friend that's had an accident, that this all comes upon them very quickly, what is the first thing that they should do?
They should go to Senioridy.com and start
and how do they do that?
They go to the Senioridy.com, just straight SENIORIDY, just like seniority with a D, and start to do the research there. There's a lot of help articles, and there are beautiful listings with gallery images and videos and brochures for each facility. So it's a great resource.
Well, Cindy, this has been extremely interesting and helpful. There's a massive problem out there. Like you said, just the 7 million seniors living in poverty is a huge problem, but there's more than that need all the information that you have been able to provide on Senioridy.com. So thank you very much for bringing this to our attention and talking with me today on Business Authority Radio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
You've been listening to Business Authority Radio with Neil Howe and Greg Williams. To learn more about the resources mentioned in today's show, or to listen to past episodes, visit businessauthorityradio.com.